Snapshot 24w34a has arrived with more bundle changes, more optimizations, and more quality of life features. My name is Slime and this is a full showcase of all the changes. Let's start with the bundles. The new bundle tooltip now shows 3 rows instead of 2, which means it always shows at least 8 items in a bundle with more than 8 items. A developer's note in the changelog explains that the new bundle functionality fill up the bundle in rows of 4, which explains why there can be empty spaces in the top row. This was a change made to avoid items moving around as they are taken out of the bundle. Some more experimental changes for Redstone in this version. Redstone Dust now updates properly in some situations where it wouldn't before, but the extra updates that affect some quasi-connectivity setups are still not back. A developer's note in the changelog highlights that more work will be done related to such setups at a later point. The randomness of redstone wire has been changed. Updates now have a left side first preference at all times. This removes the randomness but means circuits with redstone dust can no longer be mirrored safely. In cases where power comes from above or below and there is no directionality to be found, randomness remains. This version also comes with fixes for the new Minecart improvements experiment. Minecarts now pick up mobs at the same range as they used to. They now orient correctly immediately when placed, and place in the right orientation when placed on an unpowered power rail in a slope. Minecarts no longer end up shaking forever when placed in between 2 slopes in a V shape, and no longer freak out when in a bubble column. Minecart placement has changed, so dispensers can now place minecarts properly even if there's a cart on the next rail over. In fact, dispensers are now allowed to place minecarts inside other minecarts again, even though players still aren't. For players, minecart items no longer desync when trying to place them inside each other, and the hand animation no longer plays when failing to place a minecart. Minecarts no longer tilt during a short fall or when falling straight downwards, and they now snap to the closest point on a rail rather than to the center of a block again, which means piston bolts can once again be built. The sound of a minecart rolling no longer stops forever when a minecart leaves a rail for the first time. And carts now stop making a sound immediately when they stop. Carts on a slope no longer think walls are merely suggestions, and minecarts that derail into spiderweb or powder snow longer shoot up into the air hundreds or even thousands of blocks. In crafting news, the space and enter keys can now be used to repeat a recipe from the recipe book in any crafting screen with a recipe book. This only works after clicking a recipe in the book, not while placing items in manually in a crafting grid, and will keep repeating the recipe until you are out of one or more ingredients. Like when clicking a recipe, you can also hold Control to craft a full stack. Some gameplay fixes. You can now place water into an empty cauldron underwater. And the hand animation no longer plays when trying to place lava or powder snow into an underwater cauldron. Enchanting in the enchantment table now works again for armor and books. Renaming a written book in an anvil now makes the item take on the new name again. And projectiles shot at the world border now bounce off instead of getting stuck. In mob news, baby mushrooms are now scaled like baby mobs once again. And polar bear cubs now once again have all their limbs attached. Zombie villagers now raise their arms higher when chasing a target, and baby zombies and zombie variants no longer have their arms disconnect from their body when attacking a target. Breezes now fire wind charges from their face rather than the center of their hitboxes. And blazes now have an appropriate color to the bottom of their rods. In other visual news, the spectator head is now once again visible in the inventory view, and the hand now shows up again when switching back from spectator mode. The outer layer of the sleeves now follow the skin customization settings properly in first-person view. The player's head is no longer in a weird angle while crawling. And the slim player model's shoulders are no longer slightly lower. A bug has been fixed that prevented enchantment glints from showing on dropped items, items held by players or mobs, and items in item frames. Torches now once again have bottom faces. And emissive textures are now emissive even when the block is held by a player. And the crystals are now back to the same size as in previous versions. In 24w33a they were slightly too small. Clocks and all types of compasses now once again show the right angle in item frames. and the mining fatigue animation no longer placed far too close to the view. When FOV effects was set to 0, the spyglass didn't zoom at all. That is also fixed in this version. In more trial chamber fixes, some remaining empty chests have been removed, and the Encounter 4 trap has been adjusted to more often actually hit players. In addition, lots of stability fixes in this version for several crashes. This version also comes with rendering performance optimizations, especially for when using a high render distance setting and when turning the camera. The snapshot also has technical updates in Data Pack version 50 and Resource Pack version 36. If you're also interested in those changes, keep an eye out for separate videos here on the channel. But that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, buttons for doing YouTube channel support things are where YouTube usually puts buttons for doing YouTube channel support things. My name is Sliced Lime, and I'll see you next time.